Welcome. Please be seated. On behalf of the faculty and staff of the Yale School of Public Health, it is my immense pleasure to welcome you to the commencement of the Yale School of Public Health Class of 2025. Before I go further, I and Yale University want to acknowledge that Indigenous people and nations have stewarded through generations the lands and waterways of what is now the state of Connecticut, where we stand today. These include Mohegan, Mashantucket, Pequot, Eastern Pequot, Schaghticoke, Golden Hill Pagosset, Niantic, and the Quinnipiac and other Algonquin-speaking peoples. We honor and respect the enduring relationship that exists between these peoples and nations and this land. This graduation is meaningful to me, in part because I began my journey at the Yale School of Public Health at the same time as many of you. But what is even more meaningful has been watching you grow as students, as scientists, and as public health leaders over the last couple of years. In order to be sitting here today, graduates, you have obviously had to learn and study a lot. But perhaps the most important lesson you've learned at Yale School of Public Health, and the one I'm going to emphasize today, is this: the foundation of public health is trust. Trust determines what questions turn into research, what evidence becomes policy, and whose advice is followed. Now, let's be honest, the public's trust in public health, in health science, and in higher education is currently at a global all-time low. And some people at the top are trying to further erode community trust in what we do and why we do it. But at the same time, this trust did not crumble overnight. It's not just about the last couple of years or about COVID. The trust deficit reflects decades of people's health needs not being recognized and met. Healthcare is expensive and difficult to access. False information is spreading like wildfire on social media. The very foundations of good health, safe housing, nutritious food, robust social connections, clean air and water, feel increasingly out of reach for many in the US and across the world. I know that you, our graduates, understand these systems' failures well, often from personal experience. But I also know that you are in public health. You pursued this degree because you are motivated to create better systems. Heck, you helped us create our new vision statement that YSPH is linking science and society, making public health foundational to communities everywhere. If that doesn't describe a better system, then what does? So, in this moment of profound challenge, one that did not develop quickly and that will not be fixed quickly, I know that you, our YSPH graduates, are exactly the people who will be able to rebuild trust, potentiating much-needed systems change. This is what we've trained you to do. Now, how do you take on this big task over the course of your career ahead? You may or may not know this about me, but my own career has been guided on trying to create trust, and I've tried to model this process for you, whether through my own research on gun violence, through my national communication and nonprofit work across ideological divides, or right here at YSPH, trying to foster trust within our community, listening to, creating data about, and doing my very best to respond to the students' needs, as we've ushered this amazing school into a new era of independence. Because trust is created first and foremost by listening. It's created second through transparency about data, about gaps in knowledge, and about how we create answers. And finally, most of all, trust comes from our actions following our words, by working in community, in relationship, to create change. Now, our graduates, as you leave Yale, it will be your turn. It's your turn to first start by listening. You've of course learned that qualitative data helps us move past our pre-existing biases and generate hypotheses. You've hopefully also learned over the last 2 years that when you listen, you'll sometimes be surprised by what you hear. At the very least, in listening, you'll start to build bridges to communities that feel unheard. That is an essential and foundational part of building trust. Second, as you go off in your career, once you've listened, I know you will not stop with just having empathy. You'll use the skills you've developed here at YSPH to gather and then share information with transparency at the core. I know you will do this because I've watched you. One example amongst dozens. This year, many of those in your graduating class recognized that there was limited information available about the ongoing measles outbreak in the Southwest United States. So you leaned in. Working with your professors and teaching fellows, you listened to people's needs, learned how to do gumshoe epidemiology, and drafted weekly situation reports about the West Texas measles outbreak that went viral in a good way, helping inform responses by national and local health systems, parents, the media, and more. You outdid the US CDC. Third, I'm confident that you will not just listen, collect, and share data, but you will also act, and you will do so in community. Over the last 2 years, I've watched you notice that your classmates were having difficulty connecting across divides or felt disempowered by the events going on in the world. So you, our students, developed new programs, whether teach-ins, our new Compassionate Dialogue series, or new opportunities for community engagement, both locally and globally. You built trust and agency through action right here at Yale. I hope these experiences taught you that your YSPH network will always have your back. And as you leave Yale, I of course know that you'll remember that your relationships and your actions in whatever community you enter next matter as well. It is only through listening, sharing data, and taking action together that we will cement trust in public health. But finally, and most of all, I hope you, our graduates, remember, building trust starts with yourself. One day, you may look up and surprise yourself. You'll find yourself in a place you never expected to be, or maybe a job that doesn't exist yet. I know that you will find yourself in these places because you are resilient. You, this graduating class, has made it through some really tough things already, whether COVID-19, climate emergencies, the threat of gun violence, or changes to the political and economic world order. You also, of course, made it all the way from your core classes to your last round of finals to be here today, graduating from Yale. You may not have chosen each of these challenges, but they have shaped you, and they have given you strength. So to close, it may be difficult from where you are sitting now to envision the public health system of tomorrow, but just as you have extended trust to me, to your professors, to our school, and to each other, I now ask you to trust me one final time. I know that you, our class of 2025, has the empathy, the knowledge, the resilience, and the communication skills that are just what the field of public health and the globe needs now. Over the course of your career, you will rebuild trust, you will change systems, and you will do so through listening, data, and action. As your dean, I am so tremendously proud of each of you and what you have accomplished already in order to be sitting here today. But even more so, I am hopeful for what the future will bring, thanks to you. So, to you, our graduates, and of course to your family, friends, and supporters, I trust you. Go forth and do awesome things. Congratulations, class of 2025. It is now my privilege to introduce our distinguished 2025 commencement speaker, Arsema Thomas. Arsema is an actor, public health advocate, and global health changemaker whose work spans the artistic and humanitarian worlds. They are best known for their acclaimed role as young Lady Danbury in Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story on Netflix. And they recently made their film debut as Molly Waters in She Taught Love, available on Hulu and Disney+. Arsema is an esteemed alum of YSPH, having graduated in 2018 with an MPH in chronic disease epi. Where's my chronic disease epi, folks? While at YSPH, Arsema was a fellow in the Global Health Justice Program and worked extensively with the United Nations Population Fund. They used this public health experience to launch 2 startups, Inky and Mosaic Collective, which focused on supporting the health and well-being of women internationally. Arsema then went on to train at the prestigious London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, because one master's wasn't enough, graduating in 2022. Shaped by their Ethiopian and Nigerian heritage, and having lived in 7 different countries across Africa and Asia, Arsema brings a truly global perspective, both to their artistry and their advocacy. Fluent in 6 languages, they are deeply committed to cultural storytelling and human connection. Arsema continues to bridge the worlds of art and public health, using their platform to inspire change and uplift underrepresented voices. It is my deep honor to welcome Arsema Thomas, the 2025 Yale School of Public Health commencement speaker, to the podium.
Okay, hello, hello, hello. Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you, Dean Rani, to the professors and the staff, the families, and honestly, most of all, to the class of 2025, because I am simply here to celebrate you and what you have just achieved, and you don't understand how much of an honor this is for me. In a moment as overwhelming and as overstimulating as today and the past couple of days have been, you need those of us outside of the process to ground you and applaud you for the small part of the journey you have just finished. I am surprised and humbled to be here talking to you. I thought I was the worst example of a public health graduate you could be, seeing as how I'm no longer in the field. But this entire process, writing this speech, reflecting, has me realizing how fluid this field that we all studied is, how it bleeds into the daily life of all of us without us realizing it, how regardless of the fields you do end up in, a concern for the health of the public is the cornerstone of how we all will and must interact with each other and with greater society. See, the thing is, once you graduate from YSPH, you gain this intense and academic sense of empathy. There is something about this discipline that gives each of us this universal tool for change and impact. You can't avoid it, sorry. Even if you end up in healthcare management or the business end of a pharmaceutical company. You know who I'm talking about, okay. It is ingrained in each syllabus that the status quo is malleable and needs to be changed, or else we wouldn't have anything really to study. See, you look and interpret the world first through the lens of empathy and humanity. And that is a rare gem when the world looks the way it does today. All that being said, I am going to be extremely honest because I don't exactly remember who or what my graduation speaker said when I was graduating from here, which releases me and you from a whole lot of pressure. So let's get casual and let's get a little comfortable, shall we? Let's all take a deep breath. That's a little bit for me because I'm nervous. Okay. So as I was thinking about what to say, especially as an alum, I was thinking about what I wish I heard when I was sitting in your seats, if I had paid attention, and what I've learned since. First, I'm gonna tell you that I don't have the answers. No more than when I was wearing these salmon stoles the very first time around. I am just as lost as you, because this world is always changing, and that is the only constant you get in this life. To be frank, we are all lost. No one has a confident grasp on reality, and no advice will apply the way self-reflection does. You end up with similar conclusions, but self-reflection tends to stick a little bit more. Because the moment you think you do have the answer, the rules of the games change. The terms of engagement shift. Another variable is added into the mix, constantly keeping you waiting at the deep end of life. But that is the whole point of being alive. This necessary need to adapt is what excites the love of novelty in all of us. It awakens the sense of exploration, and it really democratizes knowledge. The most wise thing to know is the fact that you cannot and will not know anything. And that is the most freeing thing you could experience. You have the freedom to do what you will with the tools this university introduced you to, the raw materials. But from those, just like with cobalt, you can yield so many different objects, all effective. Just because you use your materials differently than the person sitting next to you doesn't mean that you've done something wrong. In fact, the more versatility you find, the better. As we all know, epidemics hate monocultures. You just have to recognize the responsibility you have to use these tools and not let them go to waste. And you have to use it your way. Because in all honesty, the very same tools we use to make and build a better world can also be used against us. Yes, this gig you're about to walk into is altruistic. No one does public health for themselves. I found it impossible because the individual is never at the center of the solution. It is always for the betterment of the whole. The public is at the forefront, which means you cannot lose hope in humanity. And that is a lot to ask for right now. But you need to find a way to do it that makes you happy and fulfilled. Be selfish in this selfless industry. It's cliche, yes, but there are truths to overused tropes. The results may be for others, but the methodology has to be for you. You have to find, through introspection, how to make the world a better place by making you a better person. If you do it for the thanks or the praise, you will be left hungry and unhappy. And believe me, no one wants an unhappy public health professional. My art makes me happy. And in a world where happiness is difficult to find, you must grip the sources you find tightly. If you do it for you, then no one can stop you but you. Which moves me to my next point. There is no such thing as a linear path. The idea of linearity is an idea. A path was maybe walked by one or two folks, and then maybe others forced their ways to follow the paved road, to create a binary of right and wrong, of oversimplicity. Do not. Follow your impulses. Listen to your intrusive thoughts, because you cannot take this too seriously. What resides in the man-made world is a simulation of our own design. It literally does not matter unless you give it value. Your title doesn't matter unless you want it to. Your salary only matters because we subscribe to a capitalist system. But does it feed your soul? Does it calm your spirit? Does it warm you from your belly and out? Does it really give you the strength to fight another day when it can all really go away? Now, I can tell you what I've learned since I've graduated: the power of choice. Only you can choose how to use your tool for good. You can choose for this to be the first day of something or the last. You can choose for this moment to be when it all changed or just another forgotten Monday. What you can't choose, it's that time will continue with or without you, whether you like it or not. The world will continue to spin regardless. So what you do about that is all in your power. There is always an opportunity for an opportunity, and you can be the index case for beauty, for equity, for something positively different, if you want. That potential lives and brews in all of you. In every minute of every day, that choice to pivot is there. There are so many contagious elements to life besides disease, behavior, emotion, so why not be active in spreading something else? Something of your design and desire, even if you're not the one graduating today. This choice dictates what success looks like to you, because you cannot take the indicators that are given by the white supremacist structure that governs this world, or else you are doomed to repeat it, recreate it, and cement it. Apparently, I am what success could look like, or I guess they wouldn't have invited me here, but I will be honest. I have been rejected, I have questioned my purpose and my value, I have despised the person who I see reflected back at me in the mirror, I have internalized misogyny, and I have acquiesced to oppressive powers, all of which are indicators of anything but success. But I have never let those choices be permanent. You have to know who you are so you can know how to come back to yourself when you feel like you've lost yourself. Success, if I'm being honest, is just having the energy and the inspiration to fight another day, for me. So what exactly is it for you? An absence of failure, peace of mind, a comfortable dream? I'm probably gonna leave you with more questions than answers, but I think that is what true intelligence is. You may have this degree, but I will be honest, you really don't know anything. You must go through this world with curiosity, as though you are experiencing it all for the very first time. The degree is just a lens to see the world, but you have to open your eyes. The learning has just begun. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Arsema. Graduates, look what you two can do. I would now like to introduce this year's student speaker, Lucia Shin. Lucia is a Horstman Scholar in the U.S. Health Justice Concentration and has also served as managing editor of the Yale Journal of Health Policy, Law, and Ethics, and a social media content specialist for our own YSPH Office of Communications. Lucia co-founded the graduate branch of the Yale Student Mental Health Association, served as a Berkeley College graduate affiliate, and was a student rep for the Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences during her time at YSPH. Lucia is a native of Los Altos, California, where she helped design and create the first Alcove Center in the United States, which is a center dedicated to providing emotional, physical, and social support services to youth in the community at low or no cost. Lucia was also a part of a youth advisory group, which worked with the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Stanford University's School of Medicine to expand accessible and culturally competent mental health care in California. For the past 6 months, Lucia has served as a legislative intern for the Connecticut State Representative, Kristen McCarthy-Vahey, co-chair of our state's Public Health Committee, where she supported policy efforts on public health, private equity, and health care. She also interned with Trust for America's Health, drafting regulatory letters and policy briefs for national advocacy. Lucia is an incredible example of excellence in this year's graduating class, and I am beyond excited to watch the incredible impact she'll continue to make in the world of public health after graduation. I also know that you, our student body, believe in her as a speaker for this year's graduating class. It is now my immense pleasure to invite Lucia Shen to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dean Rani, esteemed faculty, family, friends, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2025. Today, we gather not just to celebrate the degrees we've earned, but the community we've built, the lessons we'll carry forward, and the future we're about to shape. This year marks the first year of YSPH as an independent school. A reminder that public health itself is about forging new paths, building new structures, and standing firmly on our own values. Public health is truly everything. It's the traffic lights that guide us safely to work each morning. It's the street lights that light our way home each night. It's the clean water that flows freely from our taps without a second thought. It's the vaccines that protect not just individuals, but entire communities. It's the air quality alerts that warn us when it's safer to stay inside, the emergency preparedness plans ready to protect lives when disaster strikes, the community clinics tucked between neighborhoods, offering care without judgment. The quiet heroes behind nutrition labels, behind housing codes, behind safer streets. Public health is policy. Public health is advocacy. Public health is communication. Public health is care. Public health isn't just a discipline. It's a promise we make to each other. A promise that health and safety are not privileges for the few, but rights for everyone. When we first entered the world of public health, whether fueled by a passion for health equity, a commitment to science, or a drive to build stronger, healthier communities, I believe we all shared something powerful: hope. Hope that the work we chose would make a difference. Hope that it would reach the people and communities who need it the most. Hope that we can not just see the problems in our systems, but be part of the solutions. And even as pandemics rage, inequities deepen, political resistance grows, and uncertainty clouds our paths, we hold on to hope. We don't give up. We move forward. Because if there's one thing I know about our public health workforce, it's that we're resilient and creative and adaptable. We're the ones who see obstacles and say, how can I turn this into an opportunity? We're the ones who face broken systems and dare to imagine something stronger, fairer, something that truly transforms lives of people for the better. We're the ones that know that data can be a language of justice, that policy can be a tool for healing, and that listening, really listening to people, is as powerful as any intervention. One of the greatest gifts of Yale has been this community of brilliant, passionate, funny, and deeply caring people. Every group project, every coffee-fueled study session, every late-night conversation about how we can make a difference, these moments, these people, will stay with me forever. Now, I think we all know we are not graduating into an easy world. We graduate into a world where trust in institutions is fraying, where misinformation spreads faster than truth, where inequality deepens, and where health and justice feel fragile. But that's exactly why our role matters more than ever. Public health isn't just about science. It's about rebuilding trust, restoring dignity, and protecting hope when it feels most endangered. It's about standing in the spaces where others have given up and saying, not us. We don't retreat from challenges, we rise to them. And we do so knowing that no matter how heavy the work may feel some days, we are never carrying it alone. We carry it together with everyone in this room and with a global community of people who believe in public health. And while our work often happens behind the scenes, its impact is everywhere. Public health success is measured not by what makes headlines, but by what doesn't. The outbreaks that never happen, the policies that quietly close a health gap, the communities that grow stronger, healthier, and more vibrant, often without ever knowing our names. But make no mistake, the work we do is powerful. Every system we strengthen, every inequity we challenge, every voice we uplift, it builds something enduring. In a world often overwhelmed by division, cynicism, and despair, our work stands as a radical act of hope. So, as we leave here today, carrying our degrees and dreams into hospitals, nonprofits, research labs, government agencies, startups, schools, and beyond, remember this. The world needs what we have learned, but even more, it needs who we have become. It needs our resilience. It needs our creativity. It needs our adaptability. It needs our hope. Congratulations, class of 2025. Now let's go. Build the systems, tell the stories, and fight the fights. Our public health in praxis starts today.
Now comes to the moment that you've all been waiting for. This is where we honor all of our MPH and MS graduates. We ask our graduates to please follow the direction of staff to proceed to the stage. When your name is called, you're going to cross in, this is your last instructions for me, I promise. When your name is called, you're going to cross in front of the podium to receive your diploma from me. A representative of the Yale School of Public Health Alumni Association, of which you will be a member as soon as you receive the diploma, Kathy Fox, will also provide you with your alumni pin as you exit the stage. Individual photos will be taken of each student off stage as they receive their diplomas. These photos and others will be made available to students and your families for free later this week, along with a video of the ceremony, the very least we can do. Thus, we do ask that guests refrain from taking photos in the aisles to prevent interference with the student procession. Thank you, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, spouses, cousins, for your consideration. So I'm now going to turn things over in turn to each of our directors of concentrations or chairs. They will read off the names of you kind of within your concentration or your department, and I look forward to handing you your diploma. It is now my great pleasure to start by introducing Dr. Mayur Desai, Director of the Advanced Professional Program, who will introduce the candidates for the MPH in that program. Mayur.
All right, AP, Mohammed Abbas. Ernest Asare Ado. Mary Adakili. Kwabena Oten Ejapong. Mesk Al-Hamadi. Brandon Keith Barnett. Andy H. Chen. J. Cliff. Alejandro Jose Figueroa. Elin He. Nashin Islam. Tony Hui Tien Win. Kwesi Ansare Afori. Prachi Mangesh Bednakar. Elise Rio. Caitlin Emily Rudisil. Zichen Shu. Mohammed Hamza Osman Zarug. Gujung Zhao. Bangi Ju. Jeffrey Kwasi Zuta. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Shuanggu Ma, Chair of the Department of Biostatistics, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health and the Master of Science degrees in that program. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. 钟于菜、亚陆琛、李慧琛、Fidela Cheng、易开斗、波宁凤、嘉月高、裴元高、珊珊高、田一高、子晨贡、袁双国、易阳虎、石岐黄、海北江、司通进、Cooper Lad、新兰、田伦利、宣友利、 约翰利、子昂利、经林、舒淇林、依然六、于晨六、裴其禄、新通路、科律、宜南律、陈娜、大卫鹏、一任、裴荣氏、知约素、贾宣顺、Bianca Natasha Taya、罗西腾、罗一天、徐云万、常恒旺、郝旺、贾辽旺、贾瑞旺、麒麟旺、平越旺、依然旺、越旺、侯明星、资同秀、洪一旭、景轩旭、肖同旭、光阳、 韦一佑、薛晨玉、秦心愿、于康正、齐宣章、瑞奇章、辛玉章、辛志章、一番章、一番章、商云张亮、郭文章、泽通章、盛宇宙、贾尼柱、于晨柱、郑阳奏、Congratulations to all. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Pam Hoffman, Co-Training Director of Health Mathematics, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Science degree in Biostatistics, Health Mathematics.
Omar Ahmed O. Al-Suaibani. Xiaoshu Bai. Tolulope India Bakare. Jiayang Bella Bao. Sai Varshini Bati. Nilay Parash Kumar Bhatt. Sinchen Zai. Pinan Chen. Jaye Chen. Mangman Du. Brianna Catherine Edmonds. Huaze Gao. Xinyi Guo. Kunxuan He. Bei Zhang. Wankin Jiang. Kirvani Kandala. Farida Vivek Khanna. Yiting Gong. Ying Li. Zhangzheng Mao. Inkyu Shin. Yawen Wei. Zhang Shu. Luning Yang. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Xiaomei Ma, Interim Chair of the Department of Chronic Disease Epidemiology, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health and Master of Science degrees in that program.
Are we ready? Tinsai Gashachu Admasu. Deepika Basa. Patron Cha. Michele Abiji Shaline. Marlon Elizabeth Decker. Uday Danda. Xin Jingfu. Denan Gamrudi. Monica Gomes. Lan Xinggu. Wen Xinggu. Maggie Tianyu Han. Tianmei Han. Jialu He. Sida Huang. Alice Zhang. Samuel Kayani. Emma Keeling. Nathan Lai. Jingye Li. Ying Li. Anthony Brian Lin. Danielle Lodge. Ziyuan Ma. Ali Mulder. Juliana Marie Mastroelli. Jing Mei. Xingmiao Meng. Bingyuan Pan. Chantal Allison Pereira. Charlotte Smilo. Allison Chuan. Esther Tai. Yirui Wu, Michael Yan, Yu Kuai, Keqi Yue, Yuhua Yue, Margaret Zhang, Tianyi Zhang, Yuanqing Zhang. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Vasilis Vasilio, Chair of the Department of Environmental Health Science, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health degree in that program.
Andres Colin Anger. Thretha Andan. Pargol Lisa Arab. Yusen Chao. Grace Marie Hosser. Samihara B. Hossein. Joyce Hu. Haolu Yulu. Alid Grace Friesen Maybank. Caitlin McGowan. Caitlin. Phoebe Virginia Merrick. Alexandra Maria Netchev. Rachel Nussbaum. Hannah O'Halloran. Inumidin Hafsatu Oidbodi. Suya Kitty Chow. Bryn Riddle. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to call Michael Capella, Chair of the Department of Epidemiology and Microbial Diseases, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health and Master of Science degrees in that program. Michael.
Alyssa Kamlesh Agarwal. Nawar Nadal Mohammed Al-Zawabi. Brett Albee. Christina Arnez Sanz. Chesley Blaine Blacklock Votova. Brendan Caver. Yue Cha. Alyssa Chetrick. Shananjit Dinsa. Isabel Lillian DiStefano. Jai Du. Michael Condon Elhart. Samantha King Gillis. Kenyuin Guan. Katarina Karaiskos. Yifan Lai. Peichi Lee. Hongyi Sophie Liu. Kinsey Medlin. Pengray Miao. Charlene Jamie Narzolas Michano. Shoa Fatima Musavi. Shilpa Mudumbe. Evan Navori. Precious Ebubachuku Enchikube. Yiyun Pan. Manuel Emilio Perez. Kartika Madhavi Satya Narayanan. Catherine Steimel. Brooke Tonhong Tran. Don Pedro Odinaka Ume. Xiaohan Xu. Yi Yan. Mengjing Yang. Shuyu Shirley Ye. Shirley Zhu. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Abigail Friedman, Director of the Executive MPH Program, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health degree in that program.
Benedict Amalraj. Delpesh Bourget. Michael Binney. Jolene Elizabeth Bressy. Carrington Lee Chatham. Jeffrey Marcus Cohen. Sham Ferdasi. Adam Franklin Gertner. Mayor Goyal. Oh, no, okay. Syed Mohib Hasnain. No. Sean Matthew Johnson. Richard Lee. Charles Edward Leonard IV. Congratulations. Ian Joseph Martin. Mogus Abe Mekonnen. Nicholas Vincent Perricone. Oh. It happens. Yeah, that's right. No, swap. Did we mix it up? Anthony DeMartini Nicome. Congratulations. Cynthia Bruno Rafferty. Shambhavi Ray. James Russell Rutherford. Ashish Sanan. Congratulations, Ashish. Orville K. Shah. Marcos Sosa. Paul Michael Sinan. Pierre R. Theodore. Nope. Keith Joseph Winter. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Howard Foreman, Director of the Healthcare Management Program, who will introduce the candidates for the Masters of Public Health degree in that program.
Miguel Agreda. Jingqi Chang. Joyi Chang. Faith Cheritich Chumo. Sarah Isabel Davidson. Mia Di Costanzo. Sarah Fitzgerald. Yi Han Sylvia Gao. Sarah Guan. Mary Ha. Chiwei Kefia Huang. Yuan Ji. Georgi Kuparadze. Kaylee Lee. Ariana Lestingi. Jesse Liu. Joywen Liu. Yushao Ma. Renee Osagade. Shruti Parthasarati. Taylor Robin. Ryan Shi. Sirisha Sivakumar. Gabriel Tateshi Topol. Sherry Wang. Sifei Wang. Chiwen Wei. Yeli Zhang. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jason Hockenberry, Chair of the Health Policy Program, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health degree in that program.
Let's go, Health Policy. Olivia Mayel Ang Olson. Amelia Marianne Apgar. Victoria Bensel. Leleda Baraki. Leo Tsai. Trisha Chaudhry. Xialing Chen. Livia Cox. Bethlehem Galau Derege. Lucy Fargo Gilchrist. Jana Long Griffin. Anna Sabina Habeck. Haichen Wang. Kathy Yin Jin. Rachel Kane. Julia Leedy. Yahan Lee. Michelle Lee. That's awesome. Court William McDonough. Olivia Mitchell. Samantha Nicholson. Kazi Oasima. Dilcia Rodriguez Diaz. Samantha Senavaratne. Daniel Stern. Tanushka Tivari. Caroline Grace Wachino. Blake Wendrith Warrant. Gabby Ilma Wiggle. Yuchi Chin. Hodo Yusuf. Tian Tian Jin. Daiwei Zhang. Zichun Zhang. Xian Zhao. And Therese Zayax. It's now my pleasure to call Dr. Trace Kershaw, Chair of the Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences, who will introduce the candidates for the Master of Public Health. Let's go, Trace.
All right, SBS, let's take this home. Felicia Annan Mills. Alana Janae Armstead. Unaga Archana Babu. Jantrell Bowles. Christina Alonzo Cabatin. Natalie Casella. Di Waning. Liv Delgado. Sophia DeLuca. Arushi Dagra. Carson Francis Ferrara. Brittany Logan Fleck. Olivia Vivian Francis. Sai Kasaba Reddy Kahala. Jinshu Gao. Monica Hallie Hirshheimer. Othelia Taylor Holt. Chun-Yi Huang. Shreya Jadhav. Yu Lee. Yanwen Lau. Jiwan Leo. Ziki Leo. Rebecca Lopez. Emma Catherine Lynch. Anson Liu. Miriam Manana. Grace Victoria Ann Manis. Andriana Mariich Buljabesic. That was my hardest one. Meredith Audrey Rose McGee. Cassandra Michelle. Campbell James Mitchell. Abigail Jintong Ong. Megan Elizabeth Pillar. Kiswa Shumail Rahman. Wow, holy cow. Ren Yuen. Sarah Kathleen Rodrigue. Lucia Hongyi Shen. Shivesh Shora. Nandini Sinha. Namisha Srikanth. Smriti Sukesh Kumar. Christina Janine Tong. Fiona Ruth Unsworth. Good job, Fiona. Haley Erica Vais. Jia Chuan Dan. Shankari Viju Kumar. Sanai Amaya Walker. Josephine Wang. Alexandra Juliet Webster. Shui Yu. Shangji Zhu.
Amazing. Let's give a huge round of applause to all of our graduating MPH and MS students. To the class of 2025, I'm going to acknowledge you as well as the 24 doctoral graduates who were hooded yesterday morning The degrees that you have been awarded today are a testament to your hard work and your passion for public health. To the family and friends, as well as to you, our graduates, I hope you take a moment as we finish this incredible day of ceremonies and drink this in. You earned this. Thank you to my colleagues, my fellow faculty, to our incredible staff for encouraging and inspiring these students in their time here at the Yale School of Public Health. And I would be remiss to not thank our YSPH team, particularly Frank Grosso and Heather Logan, for producing this amazing event today. Now, my favorite part of being dean is that I get to ask the class of 25 to please stand. You are now graduates. Congratulations. Go forth and make us proud. This concludes our YSPH commencement ceremony. Our graduates and our faculty will be departing. Guests, please stay in your seats until our faculty have made their way off the stage. Students, congratulations.